Welcome to Power Ranking, the show where you, the fans, get to vote on your favorite things in video games, movies, TV, and whatever else the internet is excited for. This is the third episode of our special IGN tournament, Power Ranking Face-Off. Here's how it all works. Through our face-off voting on IGN.com, you, the fans, chose your favorite video game characters from over 300 entrants. These face-off votes provided a win-loss record for each game character, which determined the overall ranking. The top 64 of that ranked list have been seeded into our tournament bracket. We're now down to our top 16 as voted by you, the fans, during round 2's polling. In round 3, we polled again across multiple IGN platforms to scientifically determine which video game character should move on to the next round. The top 2 from each group of 4 will move on for the chance to be crowned the best video game character of all time. So far, 11.5 million of you have voted for your favorites in the competition. So let's take a look at the full bracket so far. Who do you think is going to make it to the top? Have your own bracket predictions been on the mark so far? Now, before we go into fan predictions and the actual results of the ranking, I'd like to welcome Power Ranking special correspondent Josh Du.
What's up, Jonathan? It's nice to not be substituting once, and we're actually co-hosts. It's wild.
Yeah, I'll be repping Team Red, and I think we have a pretty good lineup, but I'm excited to see how the voting actually plays out.
That's right. We have some fan predictions that came through, like Cedric the PS, who said Kirby versus Kratos. There could not be more two completely different characters to face off there. TV Tob says it's basically Nintendo versus the rest of the world. And even Waifu chances Link and Mario in the finals, END. That's right, Nintendo really has some iconic characters here. I mean, they're probably the favorites to win right now.
Yeah, I'm really excited by the matchups we have so far in the top 16. There have been a lot of brutal cuts in the past few rounds, but I think we have a good mix, even though obviously a lot of people are talking about the Nintendo representation. We do have Kratos and Doom Guy, who I think both could make it pretty far. There's been a lot of support for the two of them, and of course you can't forget Xbox icon Master Chief. You know, he's got another game coming out and is pretty eternally popular. So I think they could show us some surprises going on in the future rounds.
Yeah, I mean, half this bracket so far now is Nintendo. If we could put money on a franchise to put as a winner, Nintendo all the way. Yeah, speaking of recent trends with the Witcher TV show on Netflix now, Geralt is still in this. I don't know if he'll last out of this round, but I don't know. We'll see the results soon enough.
Absolutely. And you know, as I always say in my life philosophy, always bet on the Bandicoot. We'll see if that proves true, because let's move into the red side of the bracket and see how this all actually played out in this round of the tournament. On the red side, to start things off with the first group, we have Link, Master Chief, Crash Bandicoot, and Sonic. Josh, we have a lot of icons here. Who do you think deserves to make it into the top 16? I think all 4 of them could probably have a good argument for making it to the next round, but only 2 of them can.
For sure. I mean, Master Chief is the last Xbox exclusive character in the bracket now. So, and I mean, if he doesn't make it, Xbox is out of this. Link, though, legacy of amazing games. So if you're going to talk about the quality of games that these characters are from, you're probably going to have to go with Link for this.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously, though, there is massive fan bases for Sonic, and I think the Crash Bandicoot revival was one of the biggest announcements we've seen from an E3 conference in the past few years, so they both have a good shot too. And of course, as you were mentioning, Master Chief is the last Microsoft rep right here, and I do want to give a shout out to Xbox. We see you over there on Twitter getting into the mix. You're showing Master Chief some love. We appreciate you getting into all of this competition with us, and maybe that could work out in Master Chief's favor as we move on to the results, because the first 2 to move on in this competition are Link and Master Chief. Link and Master Chief both had over 150,000 votes. We're talking closer to 200,000 actually in the long term. That's really, really impressive to see these 2 move on. But Josh, as you were saying, I'm not surprised those were the 2 choices who moved on.
Yeah, not a surprise. Even with the Sonic movie that just came out, he couldn't make it into the next round. But he had a good run.
Now let's move over to the second of the 2 red groups that we have. The 4 other competitors on the red side of the bracket are Kratos, Dragonborn, Luigi, and Ezio, who again I refuse to butcher his last name, so I'm not going to say it. Josh, who do you think from this group of 4? We have a lot of third-party rep here, not Nintendo. There's only one of the 4 being from Nintendo here. But who do you think might make it on from here?
I mean, Kratos sounds like the big front runner here. God of War just came out. I mean, not just came out, but 2018's God of War, which we gave a 10 out of 10, which you gave.
I gave
10. I think, you know, just the quality of that game is going to shoot Kratos to the top here. Half this group is also Italian. Luigi and Ezio are on here, both Italians. I don't know if they'll make it to the next round, though.
Yeah, we'll see if Brian Altano could rally the troops and get that vote to move forward. I would love to see Ezio move forward. I do think he's the most iconic character from the Assassin's Creed franchise, Kristen Bell aside from the first game, of course. But I'd really love to see him move on. But let's find out who's actually moving on from this group before, because the next two competitors to move on are Kratos and Luigi. Josh, you pretty much knocked it out of the park. Kratos won with 205,000 votes from this bracket, so obviously the most from this group of four. And Luigi got just around 105,000, just over votes from this competition, beating out the other two competitors by about 50,000 votes or so. So not a bad showing, and Luigi may finally actually get a chance to beat Mario and finally free himself from the shadows of his brother. What do you think, Josh?
See an underdog. I'm really rooting for Luigi now after he got out of this. But, you know, rest in peace to Dragonborn here. Skyrim may be on every platform. It's not on the winner's platform.
I'm pretty happy with who's moving on from the red side. Obviously, a lot of heavy hitters, plus Luigi. But I'm really excited about who could be moving on and maybe even winning this tournament. But, Josh, how is the blue side of this bracket looking?
Well, we got to take a look at the first group here. It's Mario, Scorpion, Doom Guy, and Geralt of Rivia.
I mean, I got to assume Mario is obviously the crowd favorite, though maybe that might work against him. Obviously, he's the most probably iconic, arguably, of this group, being the longest running video game character of the four. But, you know, that might make some people want to vote for the other ones in this group. And given, like you were saying, The Witcher's popularity on Netflix, Doom Guy with Doom Eternal, and Mortal Kombat 11 just being such a huge game last year, I think all four of them have a chance to move on, honestly.
All solid guesses, Jonathan. But here are the two characters that are moving out in the next round. First up is Mario with over 200,000 votes. Huge landslide winner, obviously. I mean, we both predicted this pretty clearly. And second up is Doom Guy. Looks like Doom Eternal won this one against The Witcher.
Yeah, Doom Eternal is obviously having a pretty great critical and commercial success right now. I think it's the fastest selling Doom game of all time, so that's not a bad launch to be coming off of, and so it's no surprise Doom Guy. And Bethesda, I know, has mentioned this competition a little bit before when we've been talking about Doom Guy on the show, so no surprise to see that fan base rallied to help push him through, and it's a well-deserved win.
Now, lastly on the blue side, we're looking at Solid Snake up against Kirby, Nathan Drake, and Pikachu. Jonathan, any predictions here?
I fully expect one of the Nintendo mascots here to move on. There's obviously a lot of love for both of their franchises, but I honestly am expecting also Nathan Drake to move on. The Uncharted franchise is one of the biggest PlayStation exclusive franchises around, and even though we haven't had a Nathan Drake starring game in a couple of years now, I do think there is so much love for that treasure hunter that he'll probably move on.
I mean, that's a solid bet, Jonathan. The final two characters moving on to the next round are Solid Snake from Metal Gear Solid franchise and Pikachu. Jonathan, your boy Drake, he's out. How do you feel?
Yeah, I mean, like he does to all of those people that he murders, Solid Snake sneaks up on me in a cardboard box and pulled out a victory, so congratulations to him. The Metal Gear Solid series is so popular with the IGN audience that I'm not too surprised that Solid Snake is moving on. And then, I mean, how do you beat Pikachu? I don't know.
How do you beat Pikachu? Pikachu is the final Pokemon in the bracket so far. Maybe Pokemon fans push him all the way to the finish line.
We'll have to see if that plays out, Josh. Absolutely. It's a pretty big fandom. But before we take a look at the current standings and who Pikachu is up against, let's remember those who didn't quite move on in our In Memoriam segment.
We'll all miss those characters very much, but let's see who's still in this in the current bracket. Voting in this round is going to work exactly the same way as the previous round. The top two from each group of four are going to move on to the next round. And honestly, I did not think Luigi would get this far. He is a definite underdog for me. And now that I see him up the likes of Master Chief and Solid Snake, I'm really rooting for him. What do you think, Jonathan?
Yeah, me too. I would love to see him make it to the final two. Obviously, I'd love a brother versus brother showdown for this tall. But I am very excited by this final 8. We do, of course, have 50% representation right now from the Nintendo side, so I definitely expect at least one Nintendo rep to move on. But I do like the mixture we have going on here. I think there could be really some surprises and some upsets, so it's really going to take the fan bases from each group to really push these characters through to the Final Four. Josh, thank you so much for joining me for this round 3 reveal. I'm glad we could sort of finally be in the same place together, kind of, at least in the same video. But glad to have you here for this, and I'm excited to see where this competition goes next.
Me too, Jonathan. See you next week.
Now, if you missed these polls, it's actually not too late. Although there are no redos for this part of the competition, the Power Ranking Face-Off bracket is running all month long, if not even a little longer. So you have to do your part and get yourself on all of these IGN platforms to get your votes in right now. But is there anything missing from this bracket who you think deserve to be number 1, or at least involved in the competition? Do you agree or disagree with the result of this round? Let us know in the comments below. Stay tuned for next episode, and as always, keep it locked to IGN.